Alrighty, hi friends, my name's Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you all my May TBR, and in this TBR I'm also including my hashtag Dystopian Readathon TBR. I will go into all the details for that, but the hashtag Dystopian Readathon is the first ever readathon that I'm hosting. It's basically what it says on the title. It's a dystopian readathon. There's no prompts. We're just reading a whole bunch of dystopian books, as many as you can for a week. I have the TBR in this TBR, but the readathon isn't taking place until Memorial Day, which is May 29th through June 4th. But anyway, that will be at the end of this TBR video, and I'm just gonna get started because I have a lot of books in front of me, and my TBR for the Dystopian Readathon alone, it's pretty large. Obviously, the Dystopian Readathon starts in May, so I will be reading some of those books in May, but it does end in June 4th, so I will probably also include that TBR in my June TBR as well. Alrighty, but let's get started. So first off, I'm gonna start off with the book that I'm currently reading. It is a rollover from April, and that is In Nightfall by Suzanne Young. This was sent to me by Penguin Teen. I didn't know much about it, but I was excited to read it. I've never read anything by Suzanne Young before. I have the program somewhere in my room, which is the dystopian book that she wrote, that it's really popular. But yeah, In Nightfall, it has some creepy vibes. I think there is like a vampire-esque feel to this, but I don't know yet. I'm currently reading it. I did not read the blurb of this because I wanted to be surprised. But if you have read The Honeys by Ryan LaSala, I would recommend this book. Basically, this book follows this pair of siblings, and they're basically going into this town called Nightfall, and they're going with their dad, and they're just going for the summer. And basically their dad grew up in this town, and basically their parents are going through a divorce, so they're spending the summer in Nightfall. Our main character, I forgot her name already, Theo is obsessed with murder podcasts, and she happens to run into her favorite podcasters in Nightfall, and her favorite podcasters are investigating this town. There's some weird stuff going on. I don't know what it is exactly. It's definitely something supernatural. I feel like you can tell, but I don't know if it's vampires or anything like that. I'm getting that feeling just because of the cover and stuff. There's no fangs or anything, but I'm just getting those vibes. But yeah, if you liked The Honeys by Ryan LaSala, I would definitely recommend this one. I am about halfway through to this, and it's really enjoyable. This is young adult, but yeah, it's been really fun so far, so I would recommend. Alrighty, next up I have a random book that I bought a while ago, and I've just been wanting to read it. This is a mystery thriller, and it is called The Au Pair by Emma Rue. I believe hearing Jordan from Sorry Book Solid and Gwen from Lavender Mud, I think I heard them talk about this book in her podcast, and I was very intrigued. Basically, this is just a mystery thriller, and it follows an au pair, which is already super intriguing. I feel like the au pairs are just such an intriguing type of job, and mainly in mystery thriller genre. If you don't know, an au pair is basically like a nanny that lives in the home of the child they take care of. My friend was an au pair, and she tells me stories all the time, and I just find it really interesting. But basically, this is a mystery thriller. It's giving me very much like Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware vibes, which is one of my favorite mystery thrillers of all time. So I don't want to know much else, but it sounds super interesting, and I'm excited to hopefully read it this month. Also, in the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I do have a couple mental health self-help books and other books that have like mental health representation and all those things. So I will go through all of that. But first off, once again, I have another book that I've included in the past like 2 TBRs, and that is How to Be Yourself by Ellen Hendrickson. I just haven't gone around to this one yet. I've included in the past like 2 TBRs, and basically it's what the title says. It's basically like a self-help nonfiction book on how to be yourself, and it's basically about social anxiety and coping mechanisms to quiet your inner critic. I know that a lot of us struggle with social anxiety. I do too, so I definitely want to read this book and hopefully gather some helpful information from this. And yeah, I've had this for a while, and this was actually recommended to me by someone on Instagram to read this month, so I decided to pick it up. Hopefully I actually do. Next up, I am currently doing a reread of the ACOTAR series. So I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I've reread A Court of Mist and Fury. So obviously next up is A Court of Wings and Ruin. This is the third book in the ACOTAR series, and I'm sure you know because you're on book 2, but if you don't know what ACOTAR is, it is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling fantasy series, fairies. It's amazing. But yeah, I remember A Court of Wings and Ruin being my least favorite, but I hope that I'm coming into this with a new set of eyes and that I enjoy it even more now. We'll see. Next up, I have quite a few book of the month books. They're just books that I've been really interested in reading. There's no theme or anything here, but I'll just start off with Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. This is a romance, and I've heard that the main character Georgie is kind of finding herself, and it's very much a coming of age story, so I'm really intrigued on this one. My two friends, IRL friends that are also on Bookstagram, Jess from Jess and Her Chaotic Chapters and Sarah from Sarita's Bookshelf, they both loved this book. They buddy read it together. So yeah, it's basically like a romance, coming of age, getting to know yourself story. I know, yes, I believe reading that Georgie is like a personal assistant and she's trying to get out of that. It seems like she's very much like a people pleaser also, which is definitely me to the core. So I'm excited to read it and hopefully relate to Georgie a lot. Alrighty, next up I have The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. Really excited, another mystery thriller, and this one basically follows this couple that has a house that is like on a cliff, and basically this cliff has become popular for people to go there and end their lives. So I think the husband in this couple relationship, pretty much they're used to it at this point, and he just goes and kind of talks these people off the ledge. But basically I think one night the wife sees someone out there and she calls the police and all these things, and then they are never able to find this woman, so they're basically thinking that the wife is going crazy. That's what I got from it, at least from what I've heard. So yeah, I'm excited to read it, and I've heard great things about Sally Hepworth. I don't think I've ever read anything by her, so yeah, I'm excited for this one. Next up I have, she is chunky, I didn't realize how big this book is, but this one is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackey. I've seen this book all around, I feel like, on Bookstagram. I know it is a mystery thriller. I got it off of Book of the Month. I don't know much about it, but I am going to be reading the inside for the first time with you all here right now. So basically this one follows a film professor and podcaster. Their name is Bodie Kane. And basically something really terrible happened at a boarding school in New Hampshire. I can't wait for the vibes. And basically her roommate was murdered and she is traumatized. I guess they're inviting her back to her old school to teach a course, and I'm assuming that new information is gonna come out about her best friend's murder and all this stuff. This has really reminded me of The It Girl by Ruth Ware. It has a very similar plot line, so I'm excited because I really like the It Girl by Ruth Ware, and I've heard great things about this one, so I'm excited. Alrighty, next up I have Ana Maria and the Fox, another book of the month, and this one is a romance, and basically this was pitched to me as a Mexican Bridgerton. So basically I believe her name is Ana Maria, I'm assuming. Yeah, Ana Maria. She's basically being shipped off to London for the season, so it's basically, like I just said, a Bridgerton, Mexican Bridgerton. So excited for this, and it looks really cute. Next up I have Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I have so many books. I'm like, I don't know who I thought I was. adding all of these books to my TBR. If you haven't read anything by Rachel Harrison, she wrote one of my favorite books from last year. It's called Cackle, and basically this one is horror and this is a werewolf novel. Cackle had to do with like a witch. I loved the writing. I think Rachel Harrison's writing was so funny. It was so feminist and just really interesting from Cackle. So I'm hoping that Such Sharp Teeth has similar writing and just similar vibes, and I'm really excited for it. Like I said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I have another nonfiction. My friend Sarah from Sarita's Bookshelf on Instagram got me this book, and this one is called Stop Overthinking. And basically this book is 23 techniques to relieve stress, stop negative spirals, declutter your mind, and focus on the present. Next up, I'm like scared of how many freaking books I have on my TBR. I have Liar's Beach by Katie Katongo. I just hauled this in my previous spring book haul, and basically reading the inside of this, it was just basically like We Were Liars, and I'm so excited because if you know me, you know that one of my favorite all-time books is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And yeah, it's kind of like a rich family and they're going to like this private secluded island and someone dies on holiday. I remember, yes, it's set on Martha's Vineyard, and it's like a beachfront house called August House, and someone ends up dead. Like even on the inside on here it says August House is full of liars, and I feel like those were like words in the description for We Were Liars by Lockhart. But anyway, I'm excited to read it because it reminds me of one of my favorite books, so yeah. I also totally forgot to mention, I've already talked about a couple romance books in here, but Jordan from Bookish Jem is hosting Romanceathon. I don't remember the dates or anything from the top of my head, so I'll make sure to put it somewhere on the screen. But all of the romances that I've mentioned, so Anna Maria and the Fox, and Georgie All Along, and the next one that I'm speaking about in 2 seconds, all of those I'm gonna try to read for the Romanceathon that is being hosted by Jordan from Bookish Jem. Sorry, I forgot to say that earlier. But of course, like I just said, the next one is a romance, and that is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I am extremely excited to read this one. I've been recommended this one because I love Thank You for Listening, Part of Your World, and The Dead Romantics are 3 of my favorite romance books of all time. So this one always in tandem is recommended to me by people, so extremely excited. But here, I'll read the back. So it says, Romance Channel screenwriter Nora Hamilton knows the formula for love better than anyone. But when her too-good-to-work husband leaves her and their 2 kids, Nora turns her marriage's collapse in the best script of her life, when it's picked up for the big screen and set to film at her home with a former sexiest man alive, Leo Vance, cast as her ex-husband. Nora's life will never be the same. That sounds so fun. I'm so excited for this book. It is really short too, so it'll be a fun, quick read. Alrighty, next up I have my IRL book club pick, and that is Gordo by Jaime Cortez. So Gordo is a memoir, I believe. I feel like I always say that and I'm never sure if it is a memoir or not. I'm just gonna read the inside of this. It is, in the inside here it says, shedding profound natural light on the inner lives of migrant workers. Jaime Cortez's debut collection ushers in a new era of American literature that gives voice to a marginalized generation in the West. In a migrant workers camp near Watsonville, California, during the 1970s, a young boy named Gordo fights back tears underneath a wrestler's mask as he is forced to fight other boys and grow into his father's expectations of manhood. As he comes of age, Gordo learns about sex, poverty, and the wrenching divides between documented and undocumented immigrants. That sounds so interesting. I still don't know if this book is a memoir or not, which is so funny. I have to look it up on Goodreads and see if it is or not. But yeah. Alrighty, those are all the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of May. And now on to my dystopian TBR. This lighting is messing everything up. But yeah, now I'm gonna go into my dystopian TBR. Like I said, the dystopian TBR is the first readathon that I'm ever hosting. It is running starting on Memorial Day, so starting May 29th all the way through June 4th. It is 1 week long. My hosts are the incredible Chloe from Chloe Reads Books, Gabby from Gabbing About Books, Jordan from Bookish Jem, and Alicia from Alicia Guzman. And yeah, if you want to know more information, I have a whole YouTube video talking about the Dystopian Readathon. Also, if you go to my Instagram, it is the first pinned post on my account. But long story short, it's just a week where we're reading all of our favorites or dystopian books that we've been wanting to read. Read as much dystopian as you can. That is basically the whole readathon. So in front of me I have some rereads. I have some books that have been on my TBR for way too long. And yeah, I'm really excited for this readathon. Dystopian is one of my favorite genres ever. So yeah, alright, first off, I'm gonna start with Unwind by Neil Tusterman. I hope that also this could work as inspiration for your guys' TBRs. But Neil Tusterman wrote one of my favorite like sci-fi dystopian series, which is Scythe. That's also an incredible dystopian book to read for this readathon. But I've heard of Unwind, like I feel like my whole life I've heard of this book and I still haven't read it. I feel like I have an idea of what it is. I've been told, but I'm just gonna read the back here just to be sure. So it says, the Second Civil War was fought over reproductive rights. The chilling resolution, life is inviolable from the moment of conception until age 13. Between the ages of 13 and 18, however, parents can have their child unwound, whereby all of the child's organs are transplanted into different donors, so life doesn't technically end. Connor is too difficult for his parents to control. Risa, a ward of the state, is not talented enough to be kept alive, and Lev is a child conceived and raised to be unwound. Together they may have a chance to escape and survive. This sounds so gory and gruesome. Oh my god. That is scary. Excited to read this. Yeah. Okay, next up I have another really popular series that I still haven't read. That is the Ugly series by Scott Westerfeld. My friend Sarah from Sarah, Georgia bought me this book. Again, another series that has been around for the longest time and I still haven't read it. Again, I'm just gonna read the back of these if I don't remember very much, so I'm just gonna read the back. But this one says, Tally is about to turn 16 and she can't wait. In just a few weeks, she'll have the operation that will turn her from a repellent ugly into a stunningly attractive pretty. And as a pretty, she'll be catapulted into a high-tech paradise where her only job is to have fun. I wish. But Tally's new friend Shay isn't sure she wants to become a pretty. When Shay runs away, Tally learns about a whole new side of the pretty world, and that isn't very pretty. The authorities offer Tally a choice: find her friend and turn her in, or never turn pretty at all. Tally's choice will change her world forever. I hope there's a romance in here so it can be super angsty. I'm ready. I'm ready. Next up, I have The Program by Su Sang-young. That was the book that I was talking about earlier, that was written by Su Sang-young. This one, from what I've heard, is that in the United States, the suicide, it's an international, it's an epidemic. So one outburst could land her in the program, the only proven course of treatment. Sloane's parents have already lost one child. Sloane knows that they'll do anything to keep her alive. She also knows that everyone who's been through the program returns as a blank slate because their depression is gone, but so are their memories. Interesting. Alright, next up I have a newer dystopian, and that is The Power by Nahomy Alderman. Heard great things. I know there's a TV show, and yeah, I'm excited for this one. So the back here says, all over the world, women and girls are discovering they have the power. With a flick of their fingers, they can inflict terrible pain and even death. And with this small twist of nature, everything changes drastically. I get to read it and hopefully watch the TV show. Next up, I have Angel Fall by Susan E. This one, again, obviously another dystopian, and this one has to do with fallen angels. Another one that has been out for a long time. I swear, I feel like this book has been out for like a decade now, and I still have not read this, so I'm excited. I've only heard great things about this one. So yeah, I won't say much else about this one. I just know that it is a fallen angel dystopian book. Next up, I have The 1000th Floor by Katherine McGee. Another dystopian, and this one is set in Manhattan, New York in 2118. That's a long time from now. 100 years in the future, New York is a city of innovation and dreams. Everyone there wants something, and everyone has something to lose. Alrighty, the last two dystopians that I have, we'll see if I even get to these, because this is so much. This is a lot. I have two rereads, which are The Selection by Kara Cass, one of my favorite dystopian series. If you haven't heard of this is basically like a dystopian Bachelor. It is great. It does have fantasy. It can get a little corny, but you just have to read it for what it is. Like, our main character, her name is America Singer. She lives in America and her favorite hobby is singing, so like, take that for what it is. But yeah, I really love this one. The romance is pretty cute, and yeah, it actually gets really political and stuff in the series, so I really liked it, and the writing is a lot of fun, so yeah. Alrighty, last but not least, I have Cinder by Marissa Meyer, the first book in the Lunar Chronicles, another series that I love. This is basically a Cinderella retelling. It is sci-fi, fantasy, dystopian as well. And yeah, the series follows a whole bunch of like the classic Disney princesses, obviously Cinderella being the first one, Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Snow White. I have to think about it for a second. Alrighty, those were the 100 books that I want to read in freaking May. I don't know who I think I am, but I'm gonna find out in May. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I really do hope that you guys join the Dystopian Readathon. I will be having a full video where I am recommending my favorite dystopian books, so watch out for that. Coming very soon. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.